Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I want to give you guys my take on a pretty interesting topic that has been kind of rolling around the Hearthstone scene the last week or so, and there was a little bit of info coming in from an interview that Ben Brode had, not directly on the subject, but kind of hinting at each of its answers, and it has to do kind of with how the state of Hearthstone just develops over time. So, we have like an expansion that's released, and Hearthstone's like the best game ever. There's so much things to explore. The broken things aren't overused because, well, people are actually just exploring the new game rather than just, I must win at Hearthstone and take away everyone else's enjoyment of playing the game. And there's this sense of adventure that seems to die down about, 2 to, if we use Old Gods, maybe 6-7 weeks. Old Gods had a lot of adventure, a big exploration period. Now, the other expansions typically last about 3 to 4 weeks, and after that, for about, another month, maybe 2, the game is okay. It's not really anything too great. You kind of know what's going to happen, but, you haven't gone through too many of those games using the new cards, so it's still kind of interesting. And then usually after a few, maybe 3 months after an expansion is released, the game is basically garbage. Like, it's, exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly how you're going to play. You know exactly how your opponent's going to play. In Arena, you know exactly what to expect at a certain number of wins because people pick the same classes and the same cards lead to success. There's no adventure, no exploration, just nothing. And at the end of the day, you guys know this, but what I really realized in this last week is that this sense of stale state of Hearthstone is really the driving force behind all the negativity, all the frustration, all like the bashing that we give the devs and the game and all that kind of crap. It really has to do with the game just not being updated enough. So we learned from prior interviews with the devs that the current engine that Hearthstone has doesn't allow them to update a single stat point on any one card without fully patching the game, which requires like several week notice because Hearthstone is a multi-platform game also available on iOS and Android, and that causes some delays in that development process, but that's just how the game is coded, and I'd say that's a really bad way to have this type of game set up. And also, I feel like the development cycle, because they do expansions, like 2 expansions ahead of time, like right now, even the expansion that we don't even know about, the one that's coming up, that's finished, right? So, I think the dev team kind of has their mindset on the future rather than like updating the game. I think that's also a little bit part of the problem. But basically my point is that whenever we see or experience a really busted ass card, like let's say Vicious Fledgling, this card is so stupid. Ben Brode talked about in his last interview how I really liked adapt cards. It's like, yeah, I kind of like adapt cards too. They're kind of interesting and stuff, but having a snowbally adapt card that if is not answered wins the game by itself on turn 3 is nothing short of stupid. But, this card's not going to get patched. Nothing's going to happen to it because that's just not how Hearthstone works. And because of that, we live with this frustration. When we see this card, we encounter this frustration. Imagine a different world. Imagine a Hearthstone where cards that were actually problematic and destructive to the game actually got fixed in a reasonable amount of time. Wow, wouldn't that be awesome? I wouldn't be that frustrated at shit like, Vicious Fledgling. I would be more, not understanding, I am understanding about decisions that devs make. Devs really try to push the limits behind cards. Like, is this card going to be absolutely crazy? I don't know. Let's take the Mage Quest, for instance. I hung out with the devs in Bahamas. They were actually pretty scared of this card. And I was actually pretty scared of the card. Now, the card ended up being not very good, in terms of win rates and all that. So, it's not really a problem in that sense, right? But imagine it was. Imagine this Quest Mage just absolutely slaughtered every single deck, had like a 60% win rate, and half the ladder was playing it, which is basically what happens every single meta after like a month or so. So imagine that happened. Then that Blizzard would possibly, maybe change the card either like a month or 2 later, or would address the card in like an expansion or 2 by having some kind of direct fucking crab counter to the card, right? And because of that, because that's what you expect in terms of changing the current game state, you get really frustrated. You see the permanence in it. And that's really the core of, honestly, everything. Hearthstone is a really good game at a core, but it is not updated enough, and because we know it, issues with the game really kind of frustrate us and bring out a lot of negativity that really shouldn't be there. I think that's really the source of just about everything. I get really frustrated in Arena when I play against Mage and it's just random card after random card after random card, just absolute bullshit, right? But, you know, it's just a short experience, but the reason I have the general negativity towards that is because I know that will be exactly the same for at least the next expansion, right? So that's kind of what I have to look forward to. There's not going to be any changes, not going to be much stuff. Brode actually talked about, players are confused about the new cards. Yeah, I mean, they try to, like, do a new thing here and there, but, like, I was confused too. I mean, who the hell wants a fight promoter? Let's be realistic. We just want cards to be changed. We want the game to be fresh. And the game is absolutely not fresh after a few months go by after an expansion. I know Blizzard has like balance patches every now and then, but maybe they should really think about having them on a regular schedule. It doesn't matter if they do a good job. Like, I remember in Karazhan they did a balance patch for shamans and ended up making a different shaman deck a lot stronger, and we actually saw more shamans. I think for like 2 to 3 weeks after that balance patch, despite it being, in terms of results, a complete disaster, I had a lot of fun playing ladder because it was a new experience. And that's what Hearthstone needs to be, at least in my opinion. But I'd like to know what you guys think and how you guys see things, and let me know what you think of my opinion, my view on all this, because I think it's really important to understand what's going on with Hearthstone, because it's such a good game. It's one of the very few games I actually get excited about, especially when new content comes out. But months go by and Hearthstone's like not even that fun to play a lot of the time. Let me know what you think. Hope you guys enjoy my rant, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.